There was a billionaire whose life was filled with luxury and refinement. However, after leaving on a trip for a spiritual retreat, he never anticipated that his lavish mansion would become the target of a meticulously planned heist. A cunning thief named Nemo had been eyeing this opulent estate for some time. Knowing the billionaire was away, he began orchestrating an elaborate plan to break in. Nemo wasn't acting alone. He had a crew of accomplices who were masters at lockpicking and experts in security systems. One night, under the cover of darkness, Nemo and his crew initiated their operation. Using advanced equipment, they effortlessly unlocked the doors to the mansion. The door creaked open slowly, almost as if inviting them into a world of temptation. With greedy eyes, Nemo crept inside. He had two very clear goals. First, to steal the billionaire's self-portrait. Second, to take a few invaluable pieces of artwork. These art pieces were worth a fortune on the market, more than enough to make them rich overnight. But things didn't go as smoothly as Nemo had imagined. He searched the rooms thoroughly, yet the legendary self-portrait was nowhere to be found. Frustrated and anxious, Nemo decided to abandon his original plan and leave the mansion. Just as he was about to make his exit, something unexpected happened. The mansion's security system suddenly malfunctioned, and a shrill alarm echoed through the vast halls. Startled and thrown into chaos, Nemo searched desperately for a way out, only to find all exits sealed off. The piercing alarm was like a devilish scream inside his skull. Overwhelmed by pressure, Nemo knew he had to silence the sound. He scoured the house, located the alarm devices, and dismantled them one by one. With the final alarm silenced, the mansion returned to eerie stillness, but Nemo felt more trapped than ever. Now, his greatest challenge was escaping this golden cage. He rushed to the front door only to find it was made of solid wood. Grabbing a knife, he began hacking away at it, hoping to carve a path to freedom. But after cutting through the surface layer, he was stunned to find reinforced steel beneath the wood. The billionaire had cleverly hidden a layer of protection inside the door. Nemo realized he would have to find another way out. That sleepless night dragged on. His heart raced in sync with the memory of the alarm, and sweat drenched his body, partly from stress, but more so from the rising heat. The air conditioner, which should have brought relief, had inexplicably switched to heating mode, turning the room into a sauna. The stifling air choked him, his throat dry. He rushed to the faucet, hoping for water, only to discover that the security failure had shut off the plumbing as well. Despair sank in. Then his eyes caught a glimmer from the refrigerator. He ran over as if stumbling upon an oasis in the desert. Inside, a cold bottle of vodka waited. Overjoyed, he grabbed it, cracked it open, and drank greedily. The icy liquid slid down his throat, carrying the heat away with it. For a moment, Nemo felt a small sense of relief, but the next day, the temperature rose to 33 degrees Celsius. Nemo, once again overcome by the sweltering heat, walked over to the mansion's pond. He knew it wasn't a long-term solution, but at least it could cool him down briefly. After washing himself, his body felt slightly more comfortable, but the pressure in his heart grew heavier. He began trying to make a phone call for help, hoping for outside assistance to help him escape this luxurious prison. However, fate didn't seem to be on his side. The phone had also malfunctioned along with the security system and couldn't dial any number. Helpless, Nemo decided to resort to the most primitive method, breaking the glass window to escape. He searched around for anything that could be used as a tool, then approached the window carrying a sliver of hope. But when he struck it with force, he was shocked to find that these glass windows were all thick, bulletproof glass, utterly unbreakable. Facing such a predicament, Nemo felt extremely discouraged. He realized that he was trapped in a carefully designed trap, and every possible exit had been sealed by the billionaire in advance. He began to suspect whether the billionaire had foreseen this day and made such meticulous preparations. Inside that room, assaulted by heat waves, Nemo's mood felt like being trapped in a windless storm. Every breath he took was like swallowing hot sand. Every drop of sweat spoke of his helplessness. Just when he was about to give up hope, he looked up at the glass ventilation window above his head. Perhaps that was his path to freedom. But the position of the ventilation window was frustratingly high, and for the moment, Nemo couldn't find anything he could climb directly. He began searching around the room, hoping to find stackable objects that could help him reach that window leading to freedom. Very quickly, he found a pile of books and some chairs. These objects, usually silent and unremarkable, had now become the key to his escape. Nemo began stacking the books and chairs, and with each additional layer, his hope increased. As time went on, the room temperature had already risen to 38 degrees Celsius. The heat seemed to be mocking his helplessness. He ran back to the refrigerator, hoping to find a trace of coolness. When he opened the door, he discovered there were still some shards of ice left inside. Though they weren't many to Nemo, suffering in the scorching heat, they were no different from an oasis in the desert. He was overjoyed and immediately began licking the shards of ice in the fridge. Each icy particle was a weapon in his battle against the heat. After licking the shards of ice, Nemo felt a momentary sense of satisfaction, but he knew it was far from enough. Then he stuffed his entire upper body into the refrigerator. In that narrow and icy space, he was finally able to temporarily escape the scorching wave, feeling a rare sense of cool relief. However, such coolness wouldn't last. Nemo's situation was becoming increasingly dire. As time passed, the food in the refrigerator gradually ran out, and the room's overall food supply also became more and more scarce. Faced with this kind of difficulty, Nemo had no choice but to start looking for other potential sources of food inside the room. His stomach growled loudly, reminding him that he needed to find food soon. After searching for a while, his eyes fell upon the door to a storage room. He carefully pried it open with the crowbar in his hand, his heart filled with both anticipation and unease. The door slowly opened, and the scent of food rushed out to greet him. In front of him appeared some dog food and raw meat. Although these weren't ideal foods for humans, in this situation, they were unimaginably precious. Just as Nemo felt a slight sense of relief, the sound of dripping water suddenly echoed through the house. In this silent mansion, the sound was particularly clear, catching Nemo's attention. He followed the source of the sound and was surprised to find that it was the plant watering system releasing water on a timer. His eyes immediately lit up, because in an environment without water, every drop was invaluable. He quickly ran to the sink and watched as the water droplets slowly dripped from the faucet, as if they were blessings falling from the sky. After drinking the water, he felt satisfied and lay on the ground contentedly, enjoying the rare moment of peace. After enduring the double torment of hunger and thirst, Nemo had finally satisfied his body's basic needs for the time being. He gathered his strength again, determined not to bow to fate. He knew that only by continuing to try could he possibly find a way to escape this luxurious prison. Nemo began searching the room for anything that might help him escape. His gaze swept across every corner until it finally landed on the curtains, books, bed, and chairs. These items, once meant for decoration and comfort, had now become tools for his escape. He tied each item together using the curtains and stacked them firmly. As each layer of items was added, a tall ladder gradually appeared in front of him. Looking at the ladder he built with his own hands, a new flame of hope ignited in Nemo's heart. He carefully climbed the ladder, each step taken with extreme caution. His hand finally touched the ventilation glass. It was another potential door to freedom. However, when he knocked hard on the ventilation glass, he discovered that this piece of glass was also thick, bulletproof glass. This sudden setback left him deeply disheartened. All his efforts seemed to dissolve into nothing. His dream of freedom was once again mercilessly shattered. He climbed down the ladder and sat helplessly on the ground. Night fell, and the lights inside the mansion were soft and dim. Nemo sat in front of the television, his eyes revealing exhaustion and anxiety. The surveillance footage flickered before him as he tried to find some clues from the images, hoping for a miracle to appear. Suddenly, a cleaning lady appeared on the surveillance feed, standing at the entrance of the mansion. Nemo's heart skipped a beat. He realized this might be his chance. He immediately rushed to the door and pounded on it with all his strength, trying to attract her attention. His cries for help nearly tore his throat apart. Despite his best efforts, his voice did not reach the outside. Nemo realized in despair that, due to the excellent soundproofing of the house, he was unable to establish any contact with the outside world. Disheartened, he returned to the television, watching helplessly as the cleaning lady walked away. However, her appearance gave Nemo a sliver of hope. He decided that if he saw her again, he would definitely seek her help. At the same time, the room's heating mode suddenly changed to cooling mode. The temperature in the room began to slowly drop. This change, to him, was undoubtedly good news. He could finally escape the torment of high temperatures and enjoy a moment of coolness. A rare expression of comfort appeared on his face, and his body relaxed in the refreshing air. But even though the temperature had changed and offered him some respite, he still couldn't leave the house. In that sealed room, Nemo's life became unusually monotonous. Every day repeated the same cycle, searching for food, searching for water, and searching for a way to escape. Inside the room, he collected some water from the previously mentioned timed plant watering system. He knew this water could be the key to his survival. He stored the water in the refrigerator for a while, then carefully took it out, cherishing each refreshing sip. Sometimes he would dance, letting his body sway to the rhythm and temporarily forgetting the pressure of his situation. At night, he would even jump into the pool, drinking cold water and eating snacks, enjoying a rare moment of peace. These small joys became the source of strength in his loneliness. Although life here was incredibly dull, he maintained an optimistic mindset. He kept looking for every opportunity in this room, hoping to escape the predicament as soon as possible. As time passed, the cooling system in the room began to take effect, and the temperature gradually dropped. He realized that if he didn't escape soon, his situation would become increasingly dangerous. The next day, Nemo woke up and looked around for objects that could be used as tools. His gaze finally landed on a vase. Without hesitation, he picked up the vase and smashed it to the ground. The crisp sound of shattering echoed through the empty room as shards scattered across the floor. Nemo carefully selected 2 fine glass fragments and used cloth and tape to bind them together, creating a simple pair of glasses. Wearing the glasses, Nemo approached the ventilation window. He picked up a sharp awl and struck at the edge of the ventilation frame. After a series of efforts, he finally managed to pry open the edge of the frame. But he felt no joy, because what he saw next were several screws. These screws made Nemo suspicious. Nemo returned to the room and started looking for other clues. While searching, he discovered a hidden passage. Although he was somewhat afraid, he gathered his courage and decided to explore it. As he quietly walked into the passage, under the dim light, he saw a self-portrait of the billionaire. But what surprised him was that there was a corpse lying next to the painting. The sight of the body made Nemo stumble back in fear, his heart nearly jumping out of his chest. He steadied himself, examined it carefully, and discovered that the body was actually a dummy. Relieved, he continued searching for clues in the passage. At the end of the passage, he found some documents and notebooks. By reading them, he learned a few of the billionaire's secrets. Nemo took the painting out of the passage and returned to the room. He once again monitored the surveillance camera, looking for any sign of the cleaning lady. When he saw her appear again at the door, he quickly went to the door and started making noise, trying to get her attention. But no matter how much noise he made, she didn't seem to notice him. Helpless, he hurriedly grabbed a piece of paper and wrote a message for help, attempting to slide it through the door crack. But the door was sealed so tightly that no sound could escape, and not even a piece of paper could fit through. After trying everything he could think of to no avail, Nemo once again watched as the cleaning lady walked away. Nemo felt incredibly lonely. In this luxurious yet indifferent room, he battled despair every single day. The next day, he looked around the room, searching for anything that could be used as a tool. His gaze eventually landed on a chair. He dismantled a wooden plank from the chair and, using a sharp knife, carved a hole into the plank about the size of a nut. After some effort, he successfully crafted a wooden wrench. He took the wooden wrench to the ventilation window, ready to use it to unscrew the bolts holding the glass in place. But as soon as he began twisting, the wooden wrench snapped. As time passed, the food in the room continued to dwindle. To survive, Nemo had to look for other food sources. After thinking for a while, he turned his attention to the fish in the aquarium. He carefully took out a fish, did a simple cleaning, and coated it in some flour, making 3 fish balls. Although the fish balls smelled bad and tasted worse, he forced himself to eat them to replenish his strength. Every hardship endured in the present was a countdown to future freedom. He couldn't let hunger become an obstacle. He had to maintain his strength to continue his escape plan. After restoring some of his energy, Nemo began thinking once more about how to leave the room. Recalling his earlier experience making a wooden wrench, he realized he needed a stronger tool to unscrew the bolts. He figured that a fully enclosed wooden wrench would better withstand the force required to twist the bolts without breaking. After much effort, Nemo succeeded in making a full-coverage wooden wrench. He took the wrench back to the ventilation window. With persistent effort, the bolt began to slowly turn. Finally, with a faint click, the first bolt came loose. Holding the bolt in his hand, staring at the still-closed ventilation window, Nemo was overwhelmed with joy. Even though the window wasn't open yet, this small victory gave him immense confidence and hope. After unscrewing the first bolt, Nemo realized that there were 12 bolts in total securing the ventilation window, and he had only removed 1. Even though the full-coverage wooden wrench could endure more force, it still broke easily after repeated use. To successfully remove all the bolts, Nemo decided to craft more wooden wrenches. He returned to the room and dismantled more wooden planks from the stools, continuing to make wooden wrenches. During the process, he was extremely cautious, ensuring each wrench was strong enough to handle the task of loosening the bolts. He knew that every small tool was a key to escaping this golden cage. To maintain his strength, Nemo continued eating the dog food and raw meat from the storage room. Though the food tasted awful, he gritted his teeth and endured it, knowing it was the only way to keep going. As time passed, one wooden wrench after another broke, but Nemo never gave up. His determination only grew stronger. Finally, after unscrewing the 12th bolt, at that moment he was overwhelmed with emotion. With all his strength, he pushed open the ventilation glass. The window that had once imprisoned him so tightly was finally dismantled. Sunlight and fresh air poured into the room. Nemo crawled through the ventilation opening and emerged into the outside world. He had finally escaped from the billionaire's mansion and regained his freedom. As for the billionaire, he might never know that his magnificent mansion had once been Nemo's purgatory of rebirth.